Okay, here we go. Chapter 13. Yes, the light is at the end of the tunnel. The light is at the end of the tunnel. Here we go. All right, so we're going to learn some Trivial Pursuit this week. So if you ever go on some game shows, you're going to say back in 2020 you learned this. The word burglar comes from a German word, means Berg, meaning a house. And burglar, the last laron, means thief. So burglar is breaking into a house, right? And it's reported by the frequency of the value of the property stolen. And there's been a 30-year decline in burglaries due partly to improvement in locks and burglary alarm technology. It's not a cure-all, but burglary regards, or the public regards burglary as a major crime. Why do you think that that happens? Why do you think that public believes that burglary is a major crime? It's because when you're not around, you feel violated because somebody's breaking into your home. Like, what's going on? What's happening inside my home while you're gone, right? The castle is your home. The home is your castle. All right, so remember at the last segment, we were talking about robbery. Everybody, I was robbed, right? This is where you weren't robbed, you were burglarized, okay? This is a big difference that you're going to hear over a period of time. Even sometimes the newscasters still get it wrong when they said, oh, there's a robbery, and then as they talk, it wasn't a robbery, it was a burglary, okay? So the biggest difference, right? Robbery, force or fear. You have to have those two elements. In burglary, that element is not needed to satisfy the crime of burglary. It does not exist. Usually it's by the person himself. The robbery confronts the individual. Burglary is a crime against property, and robbery is a crime against the person or the individual, okay? So this is what they do. They ransack the home, trying to go through every aspect to try to find the stuff within the house, okay? So the classification, that usually falls under the routine activity theory, and likely it's a motivated offender. Like they're looking for money, something fast they can sell, anything like that. They're not thinking, oh my gosh, look at me, I'm getting away with all kinds of cool stuff, but they're actually looking for items in order for them to sell later on. It's a suitable target and absent of any guardians, right? Nobody there watching the house as they break in. A likely offender to a burglary is for the crime. It talks about the suitable target and absence of the guardian. Okay. All right. So for the commercial burglaries, meaning somebody breaks into a business, right? Commercial burglary, that's a business. And sometimes burglars like to specialize in certain businesses. It was always amazing to me that certain burglars, they have their MO, they climb on top of the roofs, and on the top they have the vents, so they break into the vents, crawl all the way down, and go through the vent system, right? And so that's their MO. It's what they do over and over and over and over, okay? So that's the type of business they like. Some people like businesses like restaurants because the restaurant keeps a lot of money on hand because they don't like to go to the bank every day, okay? And some buildings may be cased in advance. They'll come in during the daytimes, look to see where all the alarm systems are, and see if they can break in later on, okay? So what do you need here for burglary? Now, can a burglary happen in a structure that's open for business? I want you to tell me yes or no, just based upon your training and experience so far in your education in this wonderful class, of what your training and experience tells you. Can they walk into, it's right now daytime, right? It's daytime outside. It's 12 o'clock in the afternoon. It's Thursday. Can they walk into, let's say, Walmart? I shop at Walmart. Everybody knows what a Walmart is, right? It's daytime. And they go in and proceed to take out garbage bags out of their purse or clothing or whatever and fill up their garbage bags full of property, right? And then walk out making no attempt to pay for it. Is that a burglary? What do you think? Okay? To let me know, to find out. Because once you find that out, as we go along through the modules, you'll be able to figure out whether it is or isn't, okay? All right, so additional elements needed for burglary is breaking into the dwelling of another during the nighttime, right? Presumptive evidence, and the burden of the proof is on the defendant to show they were or were not. What is this little hair sticking up here? You see that? Okay. So, be able to tell them whether they were in violation of the crime of burglary based upon my scenario I presented and based upon what you're getting here, okay? All right, so the severity of the burglary all depends on how much stuff is taken. The National Crime Information Center collects data on the different burglaries, right? Especially if they're hitting big crime centers where there might be medical information or high class sensitive information, right? The presence of a dangerous device in the burglar's possession, like how are they entering to get it into the building, right? Whether the premise is occupied or not. An additional crime is separate and must be proven separately, okay? So meaning that they go in there for burglary. However, once they're in there for burglary, maybe they're downloading secret items that are on the computer from a laptop onto a little thumb drive. So that's a whole different aspect, right? It could be totally different. Or they burglarize the residence, and once they burglarize the residence, they're in, and then another type of crime takes place, like a murder, okay? So you can charge them with a burglary, entering with intent to enter the residence. Another crime could be that a murder, so it's something else different besides just entering on a burglary. All right, possession of burglary tools. This is going to be a question. I want to know whether you knew that these were burglary tools or not prior to watching this video, okay? So watch this video here and tell me what your thoughts are, because I used to arrest people with spark plugs in their pocket, right? And they didn't look like a mechanic to me. They look like a typical gang member, right? Gang member walking around with spark plugs in his pocket. It's not going to go change the spark plugs on a friend's car or anything like that in order to help him out, right? But here are some possession of burglary tools. Bump key, meaning that's a key to unlock the ignition of different cars. Slam pullers, nitroglycerin or other explosive in order to break into a residence. So here's some of the little burglary tools. Again, remember to answer the question in this assignment regarding what this gentleman says about burglaries, okay? Who is the burglar? Okay, who is the burglar? The burglar, there's no set image, okay? Not Hispanic, not white, not Indian, not Pakistan, not Sikhs, not Chinese, not Asian, not Cambodian, not African American, gamut, right? A lot of crimes of opportunity too. Here's some I just pulled off the internet here. Some are amateurs, some are longtime professionals, right? Because believe it or not, criminals grow old, right? And if they haven't learned their lesson, they can be a criminal at age 50 or 60 or 70 years old out there for an opportune time because they need money or something like that, okay? So there's no set course on what a burglar looks like or a background or anything like that. However, if you get a call to respond to a burglary, you respond obviously quietly, right? The burglar you do not need to alert the burglar you're coming. It's not woo, 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 lights and siren. Everybody's coming out to the call, right? Unless you're trying to scare the burglar away and you don't want to catch him, go for it, right? There's a lot of false burglar alarms. However, some are great. Some capture the noise going inside the house. So if the burglar breaks into the house, you can kind of hear them walking around, grabbing stuff, making noise inside the building, okay? So when you're responding out to a citizen, okay, they feel violated because somebody was in their car or their house when they weren't around, or there was a cat burglar that came in and they were around and the person was sneaking around trying to take their stuff, right? It's less than 13% clearance rate of catching burglars. That's why they do it. Less than 13% of them get caught because it's hard to get some evidence to prove who it was. And a lot of things, which I believe personally, is a lot of people aren't willing to come forward to help out, right? Civic duty. I'm an American. I want to help, right? Oh no, don't ask me. I don't be no snitch, right? Don't ask me. It's like, how do we expect these people to get caught and put away if somebody doesn't have the courage to come forward and say something, right? Usually everybody's like, oh, no, I'm not going to get involved, which is really sad if you think about it. And low results for the rewards of everything coming out. Show concern for the victim. And right now, I can guarantee, answer me this question, 99% of the stuff inside your house is not written down and serialized. You have not engraved your name in your TV, in your tools, or anything like that. It's all out and about, so it's really hard when we catch burglars with 6, 7, 8, 9 plasma TVs to say this one belongs to you, because there's no serial numbers written down on your part or anything like that. Okay? Now, this is scary. I want you to look at this video here and tell me how you would feel, right, if this guy was in your house. Like, what are your thoughts running through your mind as you see this burglar inside your house? Okay? A lot of burglars do the knock, right? Bang, 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 bang. Somebody answers, they always usually lie and say, oh, I'm looking for Fred or Sally or whoever, right? Oh, they don't live here, and they be on their way because I'm like, oh, somebody's home, don't want to bother them. Or they'll keep banging on the door, and the residents inside don't answer it because they don't know who this person is. So they'll sit there, and the burglar thinks it's okay to go in because nobody answers the door, and now you have a burglar inside your house, right? Good thing I always tell family and friends, right, is you answer the door. It's like, hey, ooh, be quiet. Sorry, my husband's asleep. I don't want to wake him up. Or, my brother or uncle's asleep in the back. Please, what is it you need? And usually the burglar's like, bye, right? Another man's in the house. They don't want to wake him up, okay? So those are good techniques in order to make sure the burglar doesn't come into your house, okay? So on the commercial burglary, on a preliminary burglary, for a commercial burglary, obviously you're going to contact the owner, protect the scene to see if you find any evidence, any fingerprints, any footage of a burglary, establish how they entered the building, how they exited the building, how much was lost, what was lost. Was a vehicle needed to carry the items away? Maybe the guy was on a bike. They're going to put something in a backpack, right, and be on their way. And you want to establish your method of operation. What is it that they're doing, okay? So fake burglaries, now this is when you look into the owner's a criminal, right? Or the residents are a criminal. They stage the burglary and say all kinds of stuff was stolen, right? Well, it was funny because we did handle a burglary here, and one of these ladies' fur coats was stolen, right? A $4,000 fur coat. Very odd for a burglar to steal a fur coat. Why? How's he going to sell that? Is a burglar going to walk around wearing a fur coat? No. They want to sell it. So they look for items that are easily concealable on the person, right? And then they can sell to the pawn shop or sell on Craigslist or let it go or whatever like that. So to me, ding, 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 red flag. Why would a lady's fur coat be stolen, right? And then, so you got to look for that, something like that they would make something up, okay? How they entered into the area. How did they kick in the door? Did they break a window? Did they enter by the roof? Does it look like they had a key, right? Did they get set up? How they entered into the residence. And if the door is jimmied, right, and the door is jimmied with some type of tool, you want to be able to take pictures of the tool mark. Maybe if you find the burglar with a tool, you can match up those. Obviously not you as an investigating officer. However, those awesome people, that forensic scientists that do that, get involved, and they can do all that great stuff for you, okay? So this is some ways how they get into vaults or safes in the house, right? They have to know the safes in the house if they're going to bring some items with them in order to get in, or they have to know the safes inside the restaurants or buildings, so they're going to know it's going to take some time to get in there. Okay, I'm going to stop right here. We'll continue on in just a minute because I'm just yakking and we're going over our time. Stand by.